Hey gang, so I'm on my way home. You guys are riding home with me. I just wanted to talk about something that has kind of bothered me last night. I came in. I had an assignment where I only had 18 patients, which is actually really good in comparison to some other places at this facility that I've worked at tonight. About 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the CNAs comes to me and says a resident that I'm taking that's on my assignment is struggling to breathe. I go down there. I am putting the O2 sat on his finger. He's only giving me O2 sats in the 70s, which is not good. Not good at all. I get some oxygen on him. You know, I give it about 10 minutes. Check it again. It's still in the 70s, which is not good. That is something that is emergent. It has to be dealt with, and it cannot be dealt with in-house. I pull the gentleman's records. I start looking through his file to get all the paperwork ready to send him to the hospital. And apparently, this gentleman had a raging UTI. They leveled his white blood cells at 5,000. This gentleman, based on what the same CNA told me, he has not been acting himself for the last 2 days. He's not eating well. Every time she tried to feed him, he would gasp for air, you know, so on and so forth, what have you. Now, two days of these behaviors, and this gentleman has been down here not with it, not eating. The man is already incredibly frail. He probably should already have been on hospice well before this point. And miraculously, nobody did anything. Now, the physician, as I understand it, they put him on antibiotics, but with the level of infection that we are looking at here, this man should have been in the hospital 2 days ago. And I rightly cannot understand the level of complacency that people on shift prior to me had to go on about their day despite the changes to this man from his normal. Now, I am not saying that I am a perfect nurse. There will never be such a thing. You know, there will never be. There will be things missed. There will be med errors. There will be stuff forgotten to be written down. There will always be something. That is the unfortunate that has gotten lost somewhere along the way. I mean, this is not obviously not the first time in my career where I have seen stuff like this, and it really infuriates me at how people can simply brush off when something is pointed out or something changes to someone that you see day in and day out, but yet you continue on this course because you can't be bothered, or you have so much to accomplish in a small time frame that I'll come back to it. And part of the reason why it bothers me so much is that these same people that work with this level of complacency would have an absolute utter fit if it was one of their family members who were on the receiving end of such complacency. And I have seen that complacency grow over the last few years. And I have said this before in some live streams where I have told you guys that I am terrified of the prospect of getting older and not being equipped or capable of taking care of myself, because I have seen and am continuing to see the brand of nursing that is currently being carried out, especially by younger nurses. And it makes me scared. I've walked out of this shift today knowing that I have done the best I can given the circumstances. But, the next time I may not have the opportunity to get that person the help that they need. They may be so far gone that they may die without my ever getting the chance to intervene. And that is the kind of stuff that really eats away at me, because everyone, no matter how old they are or what health issues they have, deserve that level of care and deserve the chance for them to be at the best possible level of health that they can have, given their medical history. I know there are plenty of nurses that watch me, and I'm sure I'm not alone in these observations or the circumstances that I'm talking about. And I don't know about you all who work in this field, but I'm seeing quite a bit of influx of people who are sliding in here, doing the absolute bare minimum, simply because there's job security and it pays fairly well. And that, to me, in itself is scary. Now, I mean, you hear civvies tell, nurses and medical professionals all the time, especially on TikTok, why should you be paid well? Because, this is a calling. This is a calling. Yes, it is a calling. A calling to want to help people is a thing. But this is ultimately still a job. caregiver is a calling. Being a nurse is a job, despite how it's painted. And it is simply not meant for everyone. And people in authority utilize that calling, it's a calling, to justify the mistreatment of good nurses. And I've seen that happen over the years. Well, if you were in this for the right reasons, if you were in this for your patients and not for you, then you wouldn't care how much you were paid. You wouldn't care if your nurses, if your patients beat you up. You wouldn't care if the patient's family members cussed you out and threatened to beat your ass in the parking lot. You know, all these varying things. But this is still a job. And how it is that such a low standard is replacing the standard of care, and, you know, what I was shown was the image of nursing excellence has all but disappeared. And the thought of that is really sad. And some changes are really going to have to come about. Otherwise, there will forever be a nurses shortage, and the state of healthcare in our country will continue to degrade to a point where it will be unrecognizable. So that's my depressing, deep philosophical thought for this morning. So I'm almost home, and I'm going to bed and try to sleep off this feeling. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I will have to catch up with you guys soon. Bye, y'all.